Despite all the talks being about Dragonflight and Dragonflight, things are still happening in the Shadowlands with 9.2.5. It is not completely over. We have datamined this info some time ago, but now with interviews and another batch of data mining, we are learning that the Forsaken are mustering their forces in Tirisfal Glades. Sylvanas is gone, Calia Menethil is returning, and there are some hints that she might become the new leader of the Forsaken. Could this lead to the restoration of Gilneas and the Forsaken retaking of Lordaeron? So what is going on with this new datamined info, and who could be the new ruler of the undead? Are you looking for cheap software like Windows 11 for the best price on the market? Well, Royal City Keys is your best option. Other than software, you can find a bunch of games at amazing prices, and if you use my code DORON, you will get an additional 10% off. So if you want to support the channel and get something for yourself, check out my link in the description or the QR code on the screen. The future of the Forsaken has been up in the air pretty much since BFA, the start when they lost their home, but most importantly when Sylvanas abandoned them at the end of the expansion. Now, you gotta realize that this is a really big deal for this race. Sylvanas wasn't just a ruler, just a random person in charge. She was literally their center of culture. Like, you may have noticed how every undead NPC talks about Sylvanas. She gave them the name, she was their mother in a way, and you may know she decided to just use them as tools in her endless wars, and ultimately she just abandoned them. Now, Sylvanas atoned a bit for her sins, but we know 100% she's not returning in this expansion, or that she will not be ruling the Forsaken in any way, shape or form. Instead, she's now chained to the maw to return all the souls she had condemned her. Now, all that is cool and all, but that brings up a really huge mystery. What on earth is going on with the Forsaken? What will be their future? They lost their capital city, their home, pretty much the entirety of Tirisfal Glades to the Alliance invasion, and Sylvanas scorching the land with the plague later on, and they also lost their leader. All of us really expected that this would have been solved ages ago, like literally at the start of the Shadowlands, but it looks like Blizzard is finally getting to this part of the story in 9.2.5. Keep in mind, at the moment, information is really all over the place. We have some older and newer bits of datamined info, but we also have an official interview from Blizzard. According to the interview, Steve the Nooser told us that if you have been following the datamined info, you may have noticed something is going on in Tirisfal Glades, and something is also going on with Calia Menethil, the sister of Artis, and you are right. We will be delving into the storylines that affected the Forsaken and those touched by death, and what it has done to their cultures, so keep following for the info. Now, that is the interview, and as you may know, Calia Menethil is a relatively newly introduced character. Don't get me wrong, she has been in the lore more as a footnote for ages, but only a few years ago we realized that she had survived, and she became something really unique, the first ever Lightforged undead, and of course she appeared in the actual game. So while Calia is an undead, she doesn't really have all that much to do with the Forsaken, nor does she follow their pain and suffering. Calia joined the Horde and represented the Forsaken on the Horde Council alongside Lillian Voss, and she was actually present in the Shadowlands. You may know because you ran into her. Now, lo and behold, just like every character in the Shadowlands, she was about as completely useless as you can get. She pretty much just sat around doing nothing. I'm guessing more was planned with her initially, which is why they sent her there, because, you know, Sylvanas abandoned the Forsaken, so she might be the new leader, but nope. None of it happened until this point in 9.2.5, and we still don't really know what will happen. Turns out, Blizzard is finally deciding that Calia Menethil has a role to play, and they are actually introducing her. So, what is all this new datamined info that is brand new and that we have? Now, a lot of it is limited at this point, but we know for a fact that Calia Menethil will be playing a role. A couple days ago, with a new build of the 9.2.5 PTR, we also discovered a quest called the Eyes of the Wolf. At the moment, it isn't known what NPC gives the quest or if there are any special requirements, but it is a quest that you can take on another boss, so obviously Shadowlands related. The objectives of the quest are that you need to meet up with Calia Menethil in Brill in Tirisfal Glades, and then you need to speak to a Gilnean Grey Mage for a teleport to the actual location. The quest text says that the Forsaken forces are mustering in Tirisfal Glades, unclear for what purpose, but notably Calia Menethil has also gone there as well. As this seems to be based for the Alliance. It says you need to disguise yourself and discover what they are up to now that the accursed Banshee no longer unites them. On top of all this new info, you might remember some of the older info, and that is that we received some encrypted, updated maps to Tirisfal Glades, which might signify that something big might be happening there. Additionally, there was also a coordinated scourge attack just a bit north in Questline, which may or may not be connected to this entire thing. Now, what does this really mean? Are the Forsaken gathering just for the sake of gathering, or are they planning to attack and to retake their homeland for good? As you may be aware, Alliance actually won the battle for Lordaeron. Well, kinda won. They managed to scorch most of the land while Sylvanas destroyed the rest with the plague, but the Forsaken did lose their base of power regardless, and the Alliance was successful despite not retaking Lordaeron for themselves. At the same time, we learned that Anduin has actually abandoned the crown and he will more than likely never be king again, which means that Tirisfal is in charge for the foreseeable future. Additionally, Gen Greymane, that has his eye out for Gilneas, is pretty much the second in command, and he really doesn't like the Forsaken, and he wasn't too happy with the way things turned out with Sylvanas' punishment at the end of Shadowlands. On the other hand, Calia Menethil is actually a lot different from Sylvanas, the Banshee Queen. For one, she doesn't serve some crazy dead god in the Shadowlands, and she's actually a lot more sane, but there are also drawbacks. She isn't really a Forsaken. She didn't share the fate of the original Forsaken, and many of the undead don't really see her the way they saw Sylvanas, because Sylvanas fell alongside them. She was one of them. She created them. However, this brings us to the reality is that someone just has to rule over the Forsaken. They can't just be leaderless. At the moment, that is Calia and Lillian Voss, but that's like a council thing. They need a person to actually rule them, and realistically, there aren't really that many options available. Lillian Voss is not exactly a ruler type, so I can't really see her taking over, and Calia Menethil is, in my opinion, the best option next down the line. While she may not be as easily accepted, seeing that the Forsaken are still hurt that Sylvanas abandoned them, they might decide for a better alternative. Additionally, seeing that she's a Lightforged undead, there might be an entire storyline with that, seeing that we defeated the jailer, the source of this undeath. Maybe some changes to undeath may be happening as we learned about this curse from the actual source. On the other hand, people have also been speculating that the war is coming, and I really don't think that is the case. I mean, Blizzard confirmed there won't ever be a new BFA type conflict, and the factions are really not in the shape to go to a big war again. Plus, we already kinda united as we got Frost faction grouping, and we will be going together to the Dragon Isles in Dragonflight. So, in my opinion, the most realistic solution is that it might be some type of a diplomatic meeting, some type of a diplomatic event. Seeing that the storyline with Sylvanas is kinda over, the Forsaken may be looking to start living peacefully, and the Alliance has been exposed to undeath and now the source of it, so they may be a bit more tolerant of the Forsaken. So it is entirely possible that this might be some type of a diplomatic meeting where there could be an exchange of territories. For example, the undead allow the restoration of Gilneas and the Worgen get their homeland back, while the Forsaken are allowed to return to Tirisfal Glades and to rebuild their own home. Thank you for watching. Check out all the new race class combos by clicking on the screen, and check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.